Jean-Henri Dunant was born on May 8, 1828, in Geneva, Switzerland, into a family deeply committed to social service and charity. His parents were actively involved in helping the poor, the sick, and those in need, and from an early age, Dunant was encouraged to take part in acts of compassion. As a young man, he became involved in charitable organizations, visiting prisoners, assisting the poor, and supporting community initiatives. These early experiences shaped his worldview and instilled in him a strong belief that humanity should guide action, even in difficult circumstances. Yet nothing in his early life could have prepared him for the moment that would define his legacy.
In 1859, Dunant traveled to northern Italy on a business trip, hoping to meet the French Emperor Napoleon III. Instead, he arrived near the town of Solferino on the same day one of the bloodiest battles of the time was being fought between French and Austrian forces. When the battle ended, the field was covered with thousands of wounded and dying soldiers. Medical services were overwhelmed, and many injured men were left without care, water, or shelter. Dunant was deeply shocked by what he saw. Rather than leaving the scene, he decided to act.
Dunant organized local villagers to help care for the wounded, regardless of which side they had fought on. He encouraged them to provide water, bandages, and comfort to anyone in need. The volunteers worked in churches and makeshift shelters, tending to the injured as best they could. Dunant's guiding belief was simple: all human beings deserve compassion, even in the midst of war. The phrase, "Tutti fratelli," we are all brothers, became a powerful expression of this idea. For Dunant, the experience at Solferino was not just tragic, it revealed a profound gap in how humanity responded to suffering during conflict.
After returning to Geneva, Dunant could not forget what he had witnessed. In 1862, he wrote a book titled A Memory of Solferino, describing the horrors of the battlefield and the suffering of the wounded. But the book was more than a reflection. It contained a proposal. Dunant suggested the creation of voluntary relief organizations trained to care for wounded soldiers during war. He also proposed international agreements to protect medical personnel and ensure that aid could be provided safely. His ideas were bold and unprecedented.
Dunant's proposals gained attention among leaders and humanitarian thinkers. In 1863, a group of individuals in Geneva formed what would become the International Committee of the Red Cross. The following year, representatives from multiple countries gathered to establish the First Geneva Convention, an agreement that set rules for the humane treatment of wounded soldiers and medical staff during war. The Red Cross emblem, inspired by the Swiss flag, became a symbol of neutrality, protection, and humanitarian aid. What began as one man's response to suffering had grown into an international movement.
Despite his groundbreaking work, Henri Dunant's personal life took a difficult turn. His business ventures failed, leading to financial problems and eventual bankruptcy. As a result, he lost much of his social standing and spent years living in poverty and obscurity. For a long time, his contributions were largely forgotten, even as the Red Cross continued to expand its work around the world. Yet the impact of his ideas never disappeared.
In the late 19th century, Dunant's role in founding the Red Cross was rediscovered. Journalists and supporters began bringing attention back to his story, recognizing the importance of his contributions. In 1901, Henri Dunant was awarded the first-ever Nobel Peace Prize. The honor acknowledged his role in promoting humanitarian principles and establishing one of the most important relief organizations in history. After years of hardship, his work finally received global recognition.
Henri Dunant passed away on October 30, 1910, but the movement he helped create continues to operate worldwide. The International Red Cross and Red Crescent organizations provide assistance during conflicts, disasters, and emergencies, helping millions of people every year. The principles he introduced, neutrality, compassion, and the protection of human dignity, remain central to humanitarian efforts today. His vision changed how the world responds to suffering.
Henri Dunant's story is not about power or authority, but about witnessing suffering and choosing to respond. At a time when war often ignored the wounded, he insisted that humanity must come first. His experience at Solferino transformed not only his life, but the lives of countless others who would benefit from the systems he helped create.
Henri Dunant once saw thousands of wounded soldiers left without care, and refused to accept it as inevitable. His response led to a global movement rooted in compassion and responsibility. His legacy reminds us that even in the darkest moments, one person's decision to act can change the course of history. And through that decision, Henri Dunant helped humanity take a step toward greater compassion in times of conflict.